Hello everyone, this is Hector here with 614 Welding and Fabrication. And today we have a pretty cool project in here. We have a Kennedy small pontoon boat that the customer brought over to us, stating that it is collecting water, and apparently we don't know how much water there is in it, so we're going to take a look at it. So I figure I'll bring you guys along to see what a typical repair process it is that we follow in our company. I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it. I'm just basically here to demonstrate the way we do it in our company, especially with boats that they don't have obvious damage or obvious signs of damage in any of the seams, in order to figure out where is the water getting into the pontoons from. So stand by, come over along, and hope that you guys something valuable here today. So this is a boat that we're going to be attempting to, first of all, locate where the source of the water intrusion is from. It is safe to assume that it is through one of the seams. This boat is actually, believe it or not, very well built. As you can see, the seams are probably on a production boat, probably the best I've seen in quite some time. Unfortunately, many of these boats are mass produced and the welds are not necessarily the best quality. Although, I mean, for the money that you guys are paying, you will think that they're very well put together. But this one, believe it or not, is just very nicely welded, I will say. Probably the best I've seen. But the very first step is we go through every single seam and try to identify any obvious cracks or any obvious defect that we go through it. So we go through every single one of them. This boat, believe it or not, is mainly bent together and then welded at the seam where the two half meet, which is awesome, because it's less amount of weld that they have to do and less opportunity for any kind of weld failures or cracks. So we're going to go through every single one of these welds and inspect for any obvious signs or damage from welding fatigue. So as you guys can see in here, we're going to go through all of these welds and try to identify if we can see any obvious damage sign. After that, if we don't find anything like that, we'll go ahead and most likely we're going to use the back to try to keep it in inconspicuous place where there's not obviously. We'll probably find a nice spot in here. We'll punch a hole and we'll go ahead and weld an aluminum bung in here in the back, so we can attach our pressurized manifold and put a few pounds of air into the pontoon and try to effort to identify where the potential crack is, where the water is collecting from. And we'll obviously inspect the inside and see what is going on in here that we're not obviously able to see right away. So now that we have inspected every single seam around the boat and we have not found yet any kind of obvious damage or any obvious crack around the boat, the next thing is going to have to be just basically pressurize this pontoon a little bit in order to find any hidden damage that is not obviously seen throughout the boat. One pet peeve of mine, they'll always consult with the customers and see where would they like this access port to be welded. Most customers will say use your best judgment. In this particular case, the customer requested to be put on the back of the boat, which I will have to agree. Not only does it look aesthetically better than any other place, but at the same time it doesn't open an opportunity for water intrusion in the future. Additionally, in the future, if something was to happen to this boat, we'll have the ability not only to drain it, but at the same time to perform any pressurized testing down the road if it any become an issue again. One other thing, guys, is take pride of your work. I mean, I went to the extent of basically measure the width and the separation, so it is the same in the exact same left and the right. Again, perhaps people don't really care too much about it. I like to take great pride of the job that we do here at 614 Welding and Fabrication to ensure that we are as close to as possible together in either side, so it is visually correct and at the same time it performs the same issue. I always like to start with a pilot hole in the area, mainly because I don't know what it is behind. And we always like to start with a pilot hole to prevent any kind of issues or just take a look at what we're facing before I drill the final hole size. In this particular case, it's going to be a 3/4 inch hole. So just go ahead and drill a pilot hole in here and we'll go from there. So a lot of air actually is coming out of this pontoon, which lead me to believe that there was a lot of pressure buildup in this particular pontoon. I'm not sure exactly what is going on, but as soon as I punched that hole in it, a pretty good amount of hair was hissing out of that hole. So we'll have to find out exactly what do we find on the road. So let's go ahead and switch our drill bit in here for a step bit. And we'll go ahead and drill the final hole size, which is, like I said, in this for this particular bone that we're welding today, is a 3/4 of an inch. We'll stop for halfway through and kind of look around and see if we find any something out of the ordinary coming in, which we don't see anything in this particular case. And before we continue all the way through, we'll go ahead and do a quick test fit to make sure we're not over drilling. We're not quite there yet, so we got that measurement right. Go ahead and clean our area up. Try to get all this shavings out of the way. And do a quick fit. Although it's not fitting right away, I wouldn't necessarily open this up anymore because I like a little bit of a snug fit into that opening. But before we do anything else, let's go ahead and get a light in there and see what we find. So we went ahead and actually drilled a 3/4 inch hole using a pilot hole first and then a step bit drill to get it up to the final size. And we just test fitted every single one of the bones that we bought, and they fit perfect, just like the way we wanted. Very nice snug fit, which should help quite significantly the welding process afterwards. Ironically enough, as we started it looking and inspecting the pontoon, we noticed that this, well, as we are in the back of the boat right now, the right side was completely bone dry. No signs of water intrusion whatsoever, which is always a good sign because it narrows the focus of the actual repair to most likely the other one. The other side, on this case, the left side, in this case, it is probably impossible to see through that narrow hole, but it is in fact a significant amount of water in there. This is the reason why it's so important to drill an access hole instead of just trying to fish and find what it is that is causing. There is obviously something going on in this belt. The customer stated, I mean, they know their property better than anybody else, so the guy knew for a fact that there was a damage somewhere. They just doesn't know where. So that's what we are here for. So we know the left side is most likely the side of the boat that needs some kind of repair. But as I stated earlier in the video, there is no obvious signs of damage anywhere in the seam or any seam that appears to be failing. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to weld those aluminum bones into each of these opening ports. Before we do that though, I'm going to go ahead and run a pump into this access port that we just drilled before I put the bung in there, and we're going to try to suck the water out of the pump instead of just drilling holes from the bottom. That is probably the easiest way. I see many companies and many individuals do that. Just poke a hole through the bottom and just let it drain naturally. It's not a bad idea though. I personally don't like to punch any holes in the customer's boat that I really need to, and if I have the ability to just suck the water out from the hole that I had to drill anyway, I'd much rather do that. If for whatever reason I can't get all the water out, then in that case we do actually punch a hole at the bottom, let it drain naturally, and then we'll go ahead and fill it back up again. But I usually do that only as a very last resort, mainly because I don't like to do anything else that I need to. So let's go ahead and get our pump ready, get some water out, and I'll get right back with you guys. So we had found the source of the water intrusion on this boat specifically, and luckily enough for us, the left side, as we face the boat from the back, is what it is being affected. So what we're going to do is we have a very simple process in here, nothing fancy. Many additional companies, they actually like to punch additional holes. That's not what we're doing in here. We just have an inline pump. We have elevated the front of the boat quite significantly to force all that water towards the back, and we're just going to use the hole that we already created and we're going to have to use anyway, and we're going to pump all that water outside on an empty bucket and see how we go. You'd be surprised often how much water some of these pontoons are able to accumulate. So bear with me for just a second. It's going to be a little noisy because of the pump, but let's see how much water we can get out of this pontoon right now. So as you can see, guys, this thing is pumping a pretty crazy amount of water inside of that boat into our bucket. Hopefully we don't fill this entire bucket with water today, but let's see how that goes. Wow, so we literally just filled this entire 5-gallon bucket with water, and it sounds like we still have quite a bit of water in there to go. So let's go ahead and empty this bucket out, and we'll go ahead and get it filled back in again. So as you guys can see, we've been able to get almost, believe it or not, over 10 gallons of water out of this one pontoon. It's like pretty unbelievable how much water there was in there. But so we have the fitment already of the bunk. As you can see, it's just some Amazon purchase aluminum bunks that you can weld, and I love these because the fitment on it is pretty tight, and more importantly, they almost sit flush. They only protrude about, I want to say, about 3/16 or so over the surface that you are welding it to, which is pretty important for me because I don't want something that looks like an afterthought. I want something that looks almost as factory as we can possibly make it look. So everything is being already surface prep. As you can see, we're nice and clean. We got rid of some of the oxidation from the old aluminum left in the water, at least on the welding area. So let's go ahead and get our HTP Invertig 221 set up in here, and we'll get this thing welded in no time. So today, to make this repair, we're going to be running out of our favorite TIG machine ever. This is the HTP Invertig 221 AC/DC, made by HTP, and brought up to the United States to via US Weld. It's an amazing machine. Maybe one of these days I'll go into a more in-depth video, but quite honestly, you can go to HTP website and then you will find anything that you would ever want to know about this specific machine. Run out of this amazing car. This is actually a Harbor Freight that we just basically retrofitted in order to hold our HTP machines. So we're going to be running obviously in AC mode. We're going to be welding aluminum today, and I have it set up at about 175 amps. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be running all 175, but I like to run pretty hot when it comes to welding aluminum. Make sure I'm not sitting in there for too long. No poles, no fancy setup on this machine like this machine is capable of. It's just pure AC and good balance on it. We're going to be setting this thing up with our heavy hitters, especially because we're going to be running pretty hot. We have our clamp. Let's go ahead and get welding and get this thing finally sealed up so we can pressurize and see where exactly the source of this leak is coming from. So we have been able to locate the source of the water intrusion, and we got it all repaired. So you can tell it was somewhere around this seams in here where it was actually welded, not obvious at all, but we were able to get some soapy water in there and discover exactly where the water was coming from. And believe it or not, like I said, we took almost 12.5 gallons worth of water out of this thing, and we just put about a pound and a half, or so, actually pound on this one, of air pressure after pressurized. It's important to know, and as you can tell, it is holding pretty tight, very tight in this here. And the system is actually pretty straightforward. It's just I'm using a pancake style compressor through a very small air line into a chuck, and then down into a valve that regulates the amount of air into a T, and then that T is connected into the pressure gauge. And this is a low pressure gauge. It basically has a range from 0 to 5 psi. That is exactly what you want, guys. This thing does not take a very high amount of air whatsoever. You want to hear what the pontoon is doing as you're adding pressure, and you want to be very deliberate on the amount of air that you are adding to this pontoon. And then eventually it goes into from the T into another chuck that is basically threaded into the bunk that we welded earlier, and we are pressurizing. As you can see, we're about 2 minutes into it, and the pressure is basically holding pretty steady. So we definitely call this a pretty success story. So hopefully you were able to learn something from this video, how to conduct this repair. Again, this entire process was actually made Invertig 221. Amazing machine, guys. If you haven't had the chance to check HTP, go ahead and take them out. This is not a sponsored video by no means. Every single one of these machines were purchased by sponsored by rather my Visa credit card out of every single, working hard to try to get those. But check them out, guys. They're a great company, great service, and an amazing machine. Take care, guys.